All right. What is up, everybody? Keith Jameson. I go with Gator Guy 231 across almost to the DFS industry.
I was
Again,
waiting for it.
the so rare industry, we decided. And this is Alex Hooper of Tilt City FC fame, fortune, Alex, tier
Sure.
one season this
Oh,
weekend.
it was tier two. It was my
No.
Valverde. Yeah.
What?
It was the top spot, top 90 spots in Champion Europe
Oh,
got
that's right.
tier one, and I was 91. It was a tier two and was
What did I tell you the night before, by the way?
right. You told me the top of tier two is going to be better than the bottom side of tier one, and it
I,
was.
I would love the Sorare guys to actually I mean, I guess they actually have done the study, like they have it on the rewards table, so you could
Yeah.
actually see. But I don't know if it's truth or just like sentiment, but I guarantee like I'm convinced the top of the next tier is better than the bottom of the previous one. Like you probably cannot convince me otherwise without
Yeah.
throwing just a ton of data at my face.
I was looking at a bunch of the tier one guys when I was sitting there, and like when it was, I think it was like 91% of Champion Europe was done. And I was like, I might actually stay in tier one. I was looking at the bottom, and Ferran Torres was the guy that I threw at you, and he was selling for 0.057, and he was in tier one. And then I ended up winning that Federico Valverde, and he was selling for 0.157, and I sold him for 0.14.
Because you
So,
had the new, I mean, you got
right.
the you, and the
Yeah.
great part about you Madrid was literally released, I think, that week.
Yes, yes, it was. And there was a sale too. Like normally I would labor over the price point and like, what is a sellable price point and what do I want for him? And he had sold 4 hours earlier for 0.157. And I was like, if I can get just, like again, I was preparing for Ferran Torres 0.057, I would have been happy. And it was almost three times that. So it's great. And it funded my entry. I have a super rare lineup in the MLB
Hold
for the
on,
first time ever.
and way to not bury the lead, Alex. So today's topic. Hold
Yes.
on, I got to make sure I say this right. Is it yellow, red, or blue? And obviously, we're talking about like progression aspect, and this has been done. This topic has been done. I don't know by anybody that does content out there. I know the server data guys. I think on both versions of shows have done it. I know Nellis has done it in his own different ways throughout time. Quinny definitely is. I mean, anybody has done it, but Alex, we really haven't either. So what the hell?
Well, one, we haven't done it.
And
I don't
you're in
know.
the middle of it. That's what I
Yeah,
think is the big thing. You're like in
and
the thick of it.
and I think too, like, not to take anything away from those guys, but my understanding is that, they I don't know. I don't like this always comes off as like a
Do
class
it.
war thing. I'm not trying to, break myself apart of classes, but like I'm not in that realm and I'm not like I couldn't have just gotten on the platform and dove into Super Rare. And I guess I'm not saying that all those folks could either. I don't know. But like this has been a grind for me. I have bought super rares in football prior, but never enough to actually run them in a
Yeah.
contest. And granted, those are mints out of 10, and super rare in MLB is mints out of 100, but it's still, the second highest tier. And, looking at my team, it's not the team that I'm prioritizing. It's not my best team. Hell, I don't even think it's my second best team, but there's correlation and yeah, it's an actual progression though for me. Like I have moved up and
Yeah.
not necessarily
Feels
by
cool.
virtue of winning one, but things kind of fell into my lap. I waited long enough for the prices to drop. I identified some values that I liked, and I got some help along the way too. So, um, shout out to Bob, Orange Fly. He supplied me with my second super rare, not for free, but I kind of projected a price that I wanted him for, and Max Kepler was a guy that Bob had won, and he had said like he was looking to sell to raise some funds for a certain unique that's on the market.
I was gonna
And
say so for some black cards is my
yes,
guess.
yes. So this one wasn't a huge help, but I came up with a calculated price based on like the
Mhm.
curve of the the sales cycle, and he sold it to me, and that was my second, and I bought my third overnight, and it's another
Ooh,
twin, and so yeah, we're rolling with the Twins, even though I don't want them to overtake my Guardians in the AL Central. But
there
if
you
they
didn't
did, I
plan
wouldn't be
that part out well, the real life fandom versus so rare fandom
right.
debate.
But I think I said on our first ever baseball video that Twin Stack is where I would go because it's the
Yeah.
best value for best offense and price. So again, here I am at the end of the season. Granted, these cards have 2 weeks of utility, um, but I'll be prepared for next season.
I do think there's a lot to actually dive into there. So we'll see if I'm half decent enough host to get us to dive that we wanted to. But one thing that you just said at the very end, I wanted to just bring up is I was actually talking to Tugford about DFS topic, and he in soccer and football obviously, but he faded Messi yesterday in DFS for Mbappe, which is fine in like a vacuum, but they were like $2,000 different, and DFS salary cap is everything. And so I'm like, dude, like, well, why? Like, you have our core, that Messi was our top rated play, and
Was
his
it
exact
two?
word. Go ahead.
Was it $2,000 up to Messi or down?
Yeah, no, down,
Messi
down.
was 2,000 less than Mbappe.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. Okay.
Mbappe was a crazy price, but and his logic, which is completely fine, is like every time I play Messi, he burns me, and Mbappe every time I play him doesn't, and I'm like, that is completely okay and justified, and it should be zero part of your decision making
Right.
process ever. And I kind of think the same thing in So Rare in a lot of ways. And I guess maybe it's a little bit different because you own the cards forever. But like a good player is a good player, whether he plays for your team or not, whether he affects your team or not. I know everybody disagrees with this, but we don't actually impact the outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alex Hooper owning a Max Kepler is not going to decide if Kepler, but as fans, right, we totally think it was like, since I bought him, I wrecked him. Or
Yeah.
since
And that's,
Laird bought him, let's be real. It's actually since Laird bought him, we
well,
wrecked.
in the time since I've bought a Spencer Strider, he's put up like his 2 worst weeks, and then same with Jacob deGrom. So I'm
Could
not
that
so
actually
sure that's not the
be?
case.
Could that actually be just obviously we'll get past the part that it's you and just get to like Strider just wearing down at the end of the season
Yeah,
because he's young,
yeah,
and DeGrom because he's old.
yeah. Kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. But it's the nice thing is that they both start again in the weekend, and DeGrom's facing the Pirates. So if he has trouble there, then I might just sell him
Yeah,
because then he won't be very good in the playoffs when I need him, which is why I bought him. But yeah, I think it could have something to do with that. Yes.
yeah. But
Also,
we all like to think
variation,
that.
random number
Random number
generator.
generator. Oh, okay. So let's get back to the progression topic because you said going fulfilling my host duties. You said one thing that I so also note we don't plan stuff out at all. Like we jump on the Zoom and I'm like, "You ready?" and then we go. So if it's a little bit off or rough, I blame myself. But you did mention about like how this is not your best team. This is not even your second best team. So I actually want to dive right into that because I think that is something that's maybe misunderstood. When you start progressing, I can talk a little bit about it on the football side as well. But are you happy about that? Are you looking to improve that? Like, talk to me about that aspect because I have some thoughts on it too.
About it not being my best team.
Yeah. Like, so,
Um,
here's like the canned question. Like, why would you progress up and not make it the top team, so to speak?
so I can't afford to make it my best team for what it's worth. So
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the
Step
start.
one.
Yeah. But the reason I needed an exactitude here, the reason is because I just wanted to get on the dance floor.
Mhm.
Currently, for this weekend, there are 105 teams in the Super
Okay.
Rare division, and there are 35 rewards.
So
And
one out of
any
three shot here.
Yeah, and I mean, 23 to 20 or 23 to 35 are tier fives, but like a tier five super rare is going for about what a tier two rare goes for, I think. And I mean, that's what I'm getting every week. So just getting on the dance floor, like, so the Twins have 4 games this weekend against my Guardians,
Nice.
and I'm running out, Gio Urshela was my second or my third super rare buy, and then Jorge Polanco is supposed to be back. I have his rare, and then Max Kepler, who is also needs to come back from injury. So like that, and then my first super rare is Matt Brash, who is a future play anyway. Like he might come out of the bullpen this weekend. If he gets me any points, I'll be happy. And then I bought Mike Yastrzemski as a value buy. So yeah, so the guys that I'm buying, like when I say Gio Urshela, Max Kepler, and Mike Yastrzemski, no one's going like, "Holy cow, that team's got a chance to win." But all they need to do like is have 80th percentile outcomes, and because of the lack of competition in the division numbers wise, that random number generator could just get me on the dance floor and get rewards. Like Polanco wasn't in my lineups, and the pitchers that I'm using, I believe Brandon Woodruff and Frankie Montas right now were not in any of my lineups. So, like in time, if my projections for that week say, okay, Kepler and your twin stack and maybe Gio Urshela for some reason is your best team, then I might put all of my highest projected rares in with my super rares. It's just a matter of week to week, but like until I have guys who can actually project to be my best guys in a week, it's just not worth it to me.
Yes and no would be my thought.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna bring up here. Let me see if I can share this properly. So we're gonna jump to football real quick. Okay. So who do you know on this team?
I know Henry Onyekuru because he played for Monaco when I was running their social.
And he was the worst,
Hell yeah, he was the worst, wasn't
right? So I'm about as big of a soccer geek, football geek as possible. And like I know the goalie, I know Henry Enrique, I knew Mertens barely, I know Pete. Like these are not good players. Okay. Do you know whose lineup this is? You're gonna laugh your ass off, actually.
he? Judging by what's going on the right, I'm guessing Laird.
No, that's his tweet because his tweet
Okay.
was that I absolutely love that this won about an 8 to
Oh,
9
there you
ETH
go.
card.
I wanted I wanted Tadic. Jeez.
It won a Tadic super rare, and it was Powell Traders lineup,
That
which
that
is
is
just
funny.
amazing. And but my point is, you any of those cards in a nutshell, like you put it in any sort of lineup, and it's like it's not the linchpin of the lineup. It's almost considered a toss away. If you were tactically making it, you were like, this is the guy that's potentially going to ruin my lineup. And yet here we are in sports and fantasy, and all it takes is 1 week for the stars to all align, and
Hmm.
you get that top tier of prize, right? If all of a sudden he would have separated that, I have no idea how Powell makes his SO5. I doubt that there's too much strategy involved. Like he can't. He's like, I don't even know what the F I have. Half the guys are probably going to be sold at the deadline. Like, I doubt any of that's going through his head.
Hmm.
But my point is, you separate those out into like D2 stuff, like super rare division stuff, and it doesn't achieve that outcome, right? There's no way
Hmm.
that it achieves a Tadich super rare type of outcome. So being on the dance floor, I was hoping that was going to be your answer. Being on the dance floor, I think, and sometimes these upper division, being on the dance floor with guys with the certainty to play. It's not being on the dance floor with
Yeah.
4 backups that
Yeah.
you're just praying that play. Like that's not how to achieve that. And whether this is football or whether this is baseball, like
Right.
that part doesn't work.
Right.
But be on the dance floor with playing guys that I could toss in the random number generator and get a Max Kepler 110-point week, which is totally doable. I don't even know if he's good anymore, but I remember in DFS, like he would just go on runs, and he can hit 3 homers in the game.
Yeah.
That's not crazy.
Right. And right here with this short porch in right field over my shoulder,
Right, right.
4 games of this will be nice. Yeah. Um, right. Absolutely. I did not buy, so I bought Brash because he was almost, I think the minimum bid on Super Rares was like 0.033 and I got him for 0.039. It was 3 bids. I was
Okay.
the first and the third. Um, I got him because I did the show on Monday. Like I think he is the next closest thing to Strider as far as people we have minted now. Um, so that was just a speculation buy. That was a if I have him in the super rare division next year, like can you imagine the edge that I would have there? The rest of them, like I had to check. Mike Yastrzemski was 0.04, so almost minimum on the secondary market. And when I looked at my numbers, I was like, he projects like middle of the road next year because he's gonna start. But I had to check, and it might not be a good buy. I mean, his OPS is under 700, which is like not not even average. He's 32, which I didn't know. He's been around for like 3 years, and he's somehow only 32 or already 32. Says
Minor
the
league grinder.
says the 31-year-old. Yeah, right. Um, so that might not. I put him on the block yesterday, and then when with the Ethereum merge, I took all my players off the block in case something crazy happened. But I wouldn't mind reselling him because he was the third guy to get me on the dance floor, but he was good enough. And then I got an offer accepted for Urshela. So now all of a sudden I have 3 guys and I can play. And I think actually to your point, one of the things that stopped me from like moving my Jays stack into super rare with those other 3 guys is like I bought Yastrzemski. I don't want to not play him. And that might be a mistake. So, but he doesn't project well at all.
That's a mistake then. If you
Right.
think it's a mistake, it's a mistake for what it's worth. I mean, it's nice if you don't have any other choice than just to be, to your point, on the
Right.
dance floor because he can show up with a home run, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he hits a homer in a series, that's enough to at least get you in contention.
That's more than his projection already. Yeah.
But projection is one thing. Reality, like you know, all it takes is one hanger and he's fine.
Right.
But I do think that when you, especially at the beginning, like you have in so rare baseball right now, where you just said like that's super, like we're never going to see that in football ever again, right? Where it's 100 people in a division and they're awarding a third of them, usable prizes or sellable prizes.
Right.
I think just to your point, just being in contention is really what to do. And I would argue with you though at that point that you should be prioritizing that lineup still anyways with your other rares if it
Right.
all makes sense, right? Like if you're breaking up stacks and all sorts of stuff, and like not only now are you like I'm mad about the super rare team because I took some of my good rares out but my super rares project terribly, and now who I have to backfill my rare team is complete crap too, and you're just like crap,
Yeah.
probably crap.
Right.
Like I think you still
Yeah.
need to be tactical, but I do think that the reality is just, especially because we talked about that random aspect that baseball has, makes it the
Yes.
perfect place for progression.
Yes. Yes. I agree completely. I'm sorry. I'm looking at super rares on the market now.
Oh, and now we're spurring you on. You're like win unique division.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't have that thought, even though I was like, you're an idiot. Stop thinking about that.
Eh, you
But
gotta have goals, man. I mean, this is
in time.
I like to think of this too. Like so rare. I've said this over and over again on our little shows and stuff like that. So rare is a game, right? It is a
Yes.
high risk game in a lot of ways because there's these lovely JPEGs that cost a lot of money.
Hmm.
So the barrier to entry sometimes can be high, but nobody ever plays a game to not like advance.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna play Mario level 1 for the rest of my life
Just grind level
and
one
just
through.
grind level. I'm gonna be the best level. Like, I mean, there might be somebody that says that's okay, but the reality is you want to get to level 2, 3, 4, 5, Yeah,
Right.
I think it's no different, like here whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stop doing this and actually do the show now. Um,
No,
yeah.
it's
So I didn't have to your point, I didn't have Gio Urshela until I woke up this morning. That bid was or that trade was accepted overnight.
cool.
The funny thing,
And now you're ready to go.
yeah. So, but I could technically now move my Jays stack up and try and compete. But my best lineup for this weekend is my Rare Pro, in which I have three limiteds: DeGrom, Strider, and Vlad Jr.
Fair enough. So you
So
want to make sure that prioritizes in a lot of ways because that can
yeah,
fund the next super rare type of stuff.
so if I moved, I would have to move my top starter to super rare and say I wanted to play Bichette and Springer. Those are my two highest projected rares, and cut Yastrzemski.
This
I
is
would
what
have I would have to move one of my pitchers down. I wouldn't be able to use one of those pitchers. Um, and I'd be breaking up my J stack. Go
so
ahead, sorry.
here's all I'll say. I don't know your gallery. I don't know baseball strategy as much as I want to in terms of roster. I'll leave that to you, but I'll just go from the football side of things. You should pick where the prizes are the best in terms of like not only the best, percentage in a way of chance to win, but then like, Sean talks about this a lot. And I think it's one of the things that my mindset has changed a lot, even though like still making stupid errors so much. We can talk about that in a minute. But you've got to like, he says this a lot. And I think it's just like so spot on. It's like the best advice you could ever get. Have I established the cliffhanger enough? If not,
Yes.
I can keep going. But it's maximizing, like you have to maximize when everything goes off.
Right.
When it is your week, you don't want like, and this happened in you're still following football a little bit, but we had the first perfect score
Right.
ever, right? 500 unlimited, all hundreds across the board. And the dude entered it into Challenger.
Yeah.
He won first. Congrats to him. And he won Jota, which is a fine card.
Yeah.
And in All Star, which at the limited level, I think, yeah, because it was a Zenit guy. So the only other place he could have gone was All Star. If he wouldn't have entered it into All Star, I think it was Kimmich was the
Yeah.
winner.
Yes.
And the ETH was more. Kimmich is like double the value. So by doing that, he like literally neutered his return in a half by not maximizing in a way, right? You can't like shoot, but like your best
Jota is a
lineup should go in the best.
yes.
What
Jota
is
is
it?
a third of the price.
Third of the price, right?
Yeah.
So he has the greatest lineup in the history of Sorare football, and he gets the third of the price of what he could have gotten
Mhm.
in there. So if I was you here, and like this is how I try to do it. Like I start out on with my super rares. I take a look at my super rares and I just see how good they are. And I go to All Star Rare Pro, which is one on the football side of things where the best rewards are.
Mhm.
And I try to make that lineup as good as possible. And
Yeah.
then if I realize that lineup is just going to be complete crap, well, the rest of my lineups are probably going to follow suit.
Mhm.
Maybe not, because if my supers are just bad, then maybe I can go and say, okay, here's where we want to prioritize.
Mhm.
But you need to start there. Like that needs to be your first decision point is here. And if all of a sudden I can make that lineup good, like and feel really good about it, the rest kind of be damned because my upside. I mean, what's
Right.
the upside? Tell me this. Because again, I don't know your price pool is on Super Rare. Upside of first MLB Super Rare MLB versus on Super Rare Division versus what is it? Is it Rare Pro?
Yeah. They're the same. First place gets a tier one super rare, which for Aaron Judge, the last sale on auction was 2.89 Ethereum.
Okay, so this is called 2.5.
Yes.
2.5 in the Super Rare Division, and then on Rare Pro, what would be the highest upside?
It's the same.
Is it Super Rare?
Yeah,
So
first
then,
place.
but
First
what are
place gets a
the
tier one super rare.
but because you're up against more rares,
727 to 156
so
in
not
terms
only
of
that
lineups.
aspect, but
Right.
then also I'm assuming the card quality in Rare Pro division is much, much, much higher.
Yes. Let's see. The current high score in Rare Pro is Bob, 319.
There you go.
Marcus Semien with a 94 this week.
Seems
That's
better
the
than most.
that's the second highest score, I think, yet. And then he's got our boys Kyle Tucker, Jordan Alvarez today. So shout out to Bob. All right, so what did I say? 318.
318 and 319.
Super rare is Grake 303.
Okay. But
And
that's with
Grake
higher bonuses, right? That's with higher bonuses.
higher bonuses, but Grake is only playing the minimum 3 super rares. He's got a rare Astros stack with super rare Altuve, super rare Joe Ryan from the Twins, and super rare Framber Valdez from
So
the
I mean,
Astros. But
the
second
data
second is
didn't.
281.
Okay, so it jumped down. So I mean, the likelihood of winning the top spot in Super Rare is much higher than it is in Rare Pro. I think we can.
Yes. The other thing that I'm noticing too while looking at it is they kind of nerfed the Rare Pro prize pool. It used to be that top 25 was still getting at least a tier 2 rare, so it was like comparable to Rare All-Star. Now in Rare Pro, first gets a tier 1 rare, second and third get a tier 2, fourth through 10th get a tier 3, 11th through 15th get a tier 4.
Yep.
Those are super rares.
And
16 to 40 get a tier 3 rare. So
right.
16 in Rare Pro gets a tier 3, whereas in Rare All-Star, 4 to 25 gets a tier 2, and 1 through 3 get a tier 1. So I might actually prioritize Rare All-Star instead of Rare
So
Pro
you
for this
should be
week.
doing, if you're not already, like this can be. Alex, by the way, I got like notification. I think we're up to 7 listeners. So shout out to number 7. But you should be looking at prize pools every week. Like I know a couple of weeks back, I saw somebody in one of the discords that we're in posting. So in football side, I really hope baseball gets like rare. I'm sorry, like specialist and underdog, because that would just be a whole new
Same.
dimension. That would be
Dude,
just
it'd be so
so
fun.
fun. And I hope like NBA is the same way. Like those to me are the single most fun divisions.
Yeah.
I'm about to get kid bombed here. Hey buddy. But so specialist rare in football has the worst prize pool anywhere on the platform. Like a lot of weeks you cap out at like a 1 to 1.2 ETH. When one of our buddies, Tendril Storm, probably about a month ago, got second, okay, in specialists, and his reward was like 0.35. And that same week, I got 9th in underdog, and I won a 0.5 card. So second place got 0.35, 9th place in underdog, I got about 0.5, and I sold him for like 0.525 or something like that. So, but this person I saw with the lineup, there's a Neymar in it. Neymar is like a 7 to 8th card. I can't remember the rest of the cards. All I remember seeing is Neymar, and it's awesome. And like the guy, like shout out to like him in some manner. Like it was a killer lineup. You could tell he prioritized it. You could tell he put time into it, right? Because not only do I need a Neymar, but I have to use a rare goalie in there.
Right.
I have to find 2 under 40s, and there's a chance that the under 40s you have in your own gallery might not even play. So I'm assuming you might even have to buy. No Wi-Fi. Watch Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol's your jam. Let's see what Marshall's doing. So it's because it's at a commercial. Shame on me.
Oh,
you got to distract the kid at all costs.
Can't have that.
There they go. They're back. he's like I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. I'll get it for you in a minute. So this is the content we need. But so he may or may not even had to buy like better like under 40s. But the point of all that is, my best cards need to be trying to yield me the most.
Right.
They can't be in a place where they're yielding me less than they could somewhere else. That's just not like good use of like the assets that I have. Like if I have a Neymar, if I have an Mbappe, if I have a Messi, if I have a Judge super rare, like I need them to be like when they go off and drop
Right.
their top 1% outcomes, I need them to get me top 1% prizes. I can't have them get a lesser card. It just doesn't work.
Right. And it's something from the DFS side, you know, and like you're talking about with Sean, you plan on when you win first. Like if you're gonna try and min cash every time, you're just gonna
You're
lose
gonna
money
lose. You're
over
gonna
time.
lose the rake. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the rake here is paying for your cards. And so like that's why, I mean, that's how I got here is, I bought that interstack and we have talked about that stack and its volatility and especially at keeper. And, we go into that crim and essay week and we think, oh, this is gonna absolutely smash. And, Lautaro doesn't start, whatever. And then we get 1 week against Torino away, I believe, which I didn't expect. Like I did not expect anything out of that week. I didn't expect anything out of the Milan, you know, derby, and of course Inter was horrible, and I didn't get anything out. And then they go and they face Torino, and I expected a dead week. Like I was just like, yeah, like they could be fine, but like how good are they actually going to be? And then Handanovic puts up on 106 or whatever like that, and all of a sudden
That's
I'm
wild.
dancing. But I played that, all of that to say I play it in Champion Europe. That's why it has the utility that it does, because you play it in Champion Europe and you
Best
find yourself
prices.
winning. Yeah, you find yourself winning a brand new U23 Real Madrid player, and there's just so much hype around it that I was able to sell it and progress into super rare. Like that's
Well,
the circle.
and get what did you tell me? Is it a third or is it a quarter of your value of your stack back?
I think the I think the bundle that I bought, which was Handanovic, Darmian, Doomfries, Correa, Barella, um, that's at least a third of what I paid for that.
And then
Don't
you
ask me
sold a
about
few of those
Challen.
pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I sold Correa and Doomfries and got about another third back. And then, I spent
too
the
much. It's okay.
I spent a lot on Chalanoglu. Point
It
three.
happens. I mean, you needed he ended up being part of the winning team here, so it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the cool part though. Even on him, I don't know what he's going for. What is it? It's like 0.1 or
about half. Yeah,
0.125. Yeah,
yeah,
but you
140.
still could sell him for that. I mean, you probably could sell off your interest stack if you added everything together and be even now, and you still have 30 something games left to keep running it. And anything more you do, probably pushing the profit zone. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what's awesome about the silver model too.
and it's gonna hold me. I mean, because again, I am getting hyped about baseball. I'm investing in baseball. Baseball's over in 2 weeks, so it's gonna carry me through. I don't know what they're gonna do in the off season. There's, we've talked about it. I get questions about it, like what are they gonna do? They have a whole half a year of game weeks that they can just rerun, and we'll see.
Do you actually think they're going to do that?
Do I think they will? I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
I
I've heard the grumblings just in chats and stuff like that. Obviously, not playing baseball
Yeah,
too much. I'm not tied in. I could see them doing it, and I could also just see them going like, we don't really want to like
yeah,
spoil this because
right.
now,
Have
because
a good
guess what
winter.
happens? Guess what happens though? If they do it this winter,
Then
they
the
have to do it next
expectation is next.
winter, and over and over and over again. I mean, but I mean, the difference is like in football. All right, Europe's done. Get cranking on Asia and MLS, and Asian MLS is gone. Get cranking on Europe. There's always something going on. So I mean,
Right.
it could be that is an expectation that they do want to set, is that there is always something playing because we want you on the site. We want to convert you to basketball and to
Yes.
football, and you just sitting on your cards isn't going
Yes.
to. Yeah. So all right, I'm talking myself into. I think they'll probably do something.
Well, so the super rare rotation right now, like the next super rare to come up is the Ronald Acuna. It's the number 5 of 100.
Right.
So I
They're
mean,
not going to get to. They're not going to get to even to have. I mean, what did they say? Did they say half mints this
They said
season?
half, yeah.
Yeah, they won't. I mean, they won't get to it. They don't. They never even get to full mints on the football side, and they have all the time in the world they want to.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, 5% compared to like 20%,
Yeah,
30% of
but
some of the football guys. So,
correct me if
but
I'm
like,
wrong. They had to slow down supply because they were actually killing values because the growth
yes,
wasn't high enough. Nor should it have
absolutely.
been. Yeah, nor should
Absolutely.
it have been.
I just think I think they're slightly incentivized to reward the early adopters, but if it doesn't make money in the end, then there
Yeah.
really is no incentive. But um, I guess what I'm saying is I think they have the supply to give away and not worry about it.
Yeah, but the problem is the more supply that you give away when there's not the user base, the less valuable that becomes. And
Absolutely.
at that point, we're talking about Ronald Acuna or Aaron Judge Limiteds, being the equivalent of $15 because there's just too many of them.
Yes,
And
but
everybody can have one. And then, there's like less diversification in the game mode. So I mean, it's a very slippery, like the inventory supply when you don't have a ton of users is a very, very slippery slope.
agreed. Agreed completely, which it doesn't matter if I agree that's just facts.
Yeah, it's a
But
very slippery slope. Like when you say it out loud, you realize just how like quickly it could get off the rails.
yes, um, I do think it makes sense to run contests through the winter for that reason, though.
Agreed, 100% agreed. Like,
But also basketball. I don't know, like we've talked about how there's different teams. Like there's a different team that works on football, there's a different team that works on baseball, and there will be a different team that works on the NBA, and that they'll know how to handle this stuff individually. But like Sorare as a company, I don't know what the overlap is and how they're going to prioritize. I would imagine prioritizing the release of basketball is going to take way higher precedence than, winter contests in baseball to just continue to churn. Like
that's where you
people's
hope that the teams are separate.
Yes, yes. But, it's all going to go to the top. It's all going to filter to the top. And there's going to be more money in NBA, and they could probably, but like, I don't think they want MLB to die. I don't know that it will,
They
but
definitely can't. Just because, like, even though like the demographic of MLB, even projecting forward, is so much less than, in my opinion, either football or NBA.
yeah,
Like, you set a very, very bad precedent if you don't protect even the niche like for DraftKings. Like I still think it just like sucks how little attention that they have on the soccer product. Like
right,
Champions League the last 2 days has the main GPP has filled 45 minutes to an hour before, which doesn't sound like a lot in football, but in soccer, that's a ton because half the people don't even realize like a slate's going on until the hour beforehand, anyhow. So like that's really early. I mean, they could make it bigger, and they're not going to. It's just on the soccer product, it's just on autopilot. Like
right.
there's
Always has been.
there's no rhyme or reason that goes into any of the sizing or anything like that. Like,
Right.
my joke has always been who's the CEO of DraftKings, Jason Robbins right now. Like somebody's like, hey Jason, here's our soccer revenue projections. He's like, we have soccer? Oh, interesting.
Right.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I never. Oh, that's that icon near the bottom. That's okay. I
That's a
really hope that that's
soccer
not the
ball.
case. I hope that that's not the case. I don't think that that'll be the case with baseball, considering that you have the actual MLB entity sitting there going, "Hey, by the way, what about us? Like, don't
Right.
forget about us."
Don't you think it behooves them to have content or to have contests rather running as people join the platform for NBA?
Has to. I mean that's no. Yes, and the fact that we know from OGs that they did have like the replay stuff, like they have the ability to make that game, makes you think that there's no reason not to try it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think just to have something, just to have anything, like even if it's one contest, which, I don't know how you do that, but
Or a special. They're
yeah,
all under the new special tab.
yeah, even if
Or
you're not giving away cards, like do the previous game weeks and like let me try to win a signed Aaron Judge jersey that I can then
because they
sell
haven't
on
used any of
eBay.
it. And we know that they have the leverage ability to do that because Nicola is actually Nicola. Is it Nicola or Nicola? Whatever. I think it's
Asking the
Nicholas.
wrong
I don't know
guy.
why I was going Nicola, but we've heard Nicholas actually say this on different appearances, so we know that that exists.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and isn't Judge like the main?
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, we're gonna do 10 replays. Need you to sign 10 jerseys.
Yeah. How hard is that?
Jump
And
on a
it's
Zoom with Bob for 5 minutes for winning his thing.
yeah, right. And give him his damn bobblehead.
I saw that. That's
Bob
good.
wants his bobbleheads, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. Like, but yeah,
Yeah,
so have something running because eventually the people who log on for NBA for the first time, if they are in fact Americans, like we expect more Americans to come to the platform for that than this, at some point they're going to be like, all right, I have
we
what I need.
cl-
Should I get a baseball team?
or let me just click what's going on over here.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
can do this. I can maximize even more of my money because I can't afford another Giannis. So like maybe
Or
I should just grab a couple of guys and play it in MLB and try and win stuff to parlay over in NBA.
oh, I can start recruiting another team versus going back to work.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a that one
Let
hits
me
home for me.
I'm so yeah, I mean I think we agree that there's a lot of levers. So to because we're getting close to the end, we gotta go back to progression
Hmm.
aspect, so to speak. Um yeah, I definitely think that you need to try to maximize as much as you can. The higher end would be my thought. And that's the same deal on football. And like just because on the football side of things, because you have super rares, doesn't mean that you need to go to D2 where the prizes have not been fixed, right? It just
Yeah,
means that when you have those, like, you need to start out by seeing, okay, I've got my two best supers both in really good matchups. I need to do everything I can to take advantage of this week because this could be my top 1% outcome. And I could win a Messi, or I could win a Kimmich, or I could win whatever top card is available that weekend. And I think I would assume the same has to be for baseball.
now you got me thinking about it.
And now I got you thinking about hitting that like buy button on another. I will say this,
That's what I've
Alex.
been doing over here.
I will say this. Okay, and we've talked about this to an extent. You're gonna hate this, and I'm gonna apologize to your wife later for this, but I do think that you, especially with such a little bit amount left, and the success and the advantage that your knowledge has given you in baseball, I do think like if you're like looking at your projections and planning this week, and you're like one away or two away from a killer team, you just got to do it, man. Like, that's the one thing I don't think people do enough on this platform. And like a lot of the top guys over and over again will do it.
Hmm.
Is this lineup is awesome. This is not how my world. I'll do it in my world. I won't do it on a Wales world. But my best card that I have on the football platform is Carlos Gil,
Hmm.
and I have Carlos Gil in the best matchup. I've got my two best super rares in pretty good matchups. I've got the other player, whoever it is, in a good matchup, and I've got terrible goalies. Like all my goalies are away; they're all dogs. On the new Matrix, they're all going to get killed. I probably just need to go get a goalie. It sucks, but I probably need to go. And I've done this multiple times. And the coolest part about Sorare, in my opinion, and please let me know if the same is on baseball. But okay, let's say I spend 0.9 or 1 ETH for a goalie in a really good matchup.
Hmm.
Normally sell them on, if I got a decent deal, like I didn't like that 1 ETH goalie is only worth 0.7, but to obtain him, I overpaid. All right, I'm probably gonna get hammered. But let's just say he's been going for 1 ETH and I get him for 1 ETH. I want to get rid of him. I can probably sell him at 90 to 95 cents on the dollar. And to me, I just consider that my entry fee for the week. Is like, all
Yeah,
right, to maximize this lineup, I had to pay a 5% entry fee. Okay, so be it. I want to maximize this opportunity because I think this opportunity has a chance to win me, 3 times that thing. And, 150 times my entry fee, and I'm cool to do that.
Yeah, I
Thoughts?
I have a hard time doing that with baseball just because like Jacob,
Liquidity's harder.
well, Jacob DeGrom doesn't have a good day against a layup of an opponent, and all of a sudden I'm out, and like that's in
So
50% of the outcomes at least, and so like
let
the
me
entry fee
paraphrase
thing
this.
is the entry fee thing is tough for me for baseball. Good.
Let me re-hit that from a different angle because baseball does have so many choices. All right, so we want to use like starting pitcher. You just look, everything else is lit, but your starting pitcher, you're just like, God, this is my best pitcher is in just like a mediocre to suboptimal matchup. Is that what the scenario we want to use?
So I'm saying like even with DeGrom, who did he face this week? I'm saying more in a good matchup,
But it is what it is. Like that's the chance. Like I've done this a couple times. My goalie
Cubs.
concedes, and I just spent one of you, and then all of a sudden, my crap goalie that I had and I could have run out drops 85, and that just is what it is. But again, I was setting myself up where the odds were better that this lineup's going to do better by doing this than leaving at its current state. We can't control the result.
We can't control the result, but I think the volatility is so much greater in baseball between results that it doesn't make as much sense. Like
That's
if
fair.
you if you have if you can go out and buy a keeper who's a minus 300 at home, there is a much higher chance, in my opinion, that they end up with like at least a 60, 75, 80 than
Maybe.
DeGrom DeGrom against the Pirates putting up a 64.
I mean, the pitcher that you told me to buy for limited this week cheap when I messaged you. I mean, dude drops 40 or 45. So, and you're like, oh
Sure.
yeah, he's gonna do great.
Well, yeah, that's
You're
facing
playing
the
the odds.
Tigers. Facing the Tigers is the equivalent of being a minus 1500 favorite at home because
So just make sure
you know
make
that
sure your pitcher is always facing the Tigers.
I do. But I can't at higher levels. I have all the limiteds in the world. If someone faces the Tigers, I'm like, click. Did you know the Tigers are the worst offense in 100 years?
Yeah, that's amazing though.
They're awful.
Congrats to them. That GM deserves an award.
Oh, he just got fired, so they're all right.
That's surprising. I thought that getting some sort of accolades.
Yeah, he's setting
Wow.
records. They spent like $150 million on
Oh,
Javier
so they actually
Baez.
weren't trying to suck?
You would if you told me if you asked me that question at the time they signed Javier Baez to a 7-year, $150 million deal, I would have said, yeah, they're probably trying to suck. But especially because Miguel Cabrera's contract is finally coming up after they've had that albatross of him playing in his 40s for $33 million a year. You would have thought like, oh, maybe we should reset, but they're like, no, let's reinvigorate our roster for
So
a
this is
run.
going way off of Sorare, but I think it's funny. I think it's God, is it Bill Simmons? It's one of the podcasts I listen to all the time, and um they mention about how like the funniest thing is like these lame duck GMs, especially like in NFL, like that they're about to get fired, yet they still have keys to the car.
Yes.
And then they like what was the egregious one was the Texans with Bill O'Brien, and he just decides like everybody knows he's gonna get fired, they're terrible, and so he just like trades their entire draft for a left tackle.
Yep.
Trades DeAndre Hopkins for a running back, and like there's all these moves that anybody with a mind knows are just terrible, but he
Right.
still has keys to the car.
Yeah, and if you did, like, why wouldn't you just try to save yourself?
Right.
There's no incentive for you to
For
not
me
just
to
go out
go,
and light the
I
whole
know they're
thing
going
on
to get
fire.
fired. I really want to set you guys up for the future for the guy that, like, I really want the guy that's after me to be set up really well to do good. So he gets all the accolades and everybody talks about what a bum I am.
Right. If if Elon Musk is giving me $2 billion to build a baseball team and he's like, you have one more season or else you're fired, I want him to sign me to that next $2 billion contract. So I'm gonna go ahead and just like, who's
Right.
out there? Just
Just
please
take
come
it.
help.
We've seen it in baseball too, like, the Carmelo trade. came to mind, you know, oh man, we could have him for free this offseason. No, no, no. Let's just give our entire nucleus so we can get him the end of this season and make us look good.
Like Mbappe. Wasn't that kind of the same sort of thing?
Yeah, well, the difference in football is just money is endless, and you don't have to
And
give up assets. You just have to give up
given
money.
an ownership stake and stuff like that.
Yep. All right. I got the call that the baby's up, so I got to run. But this is fun. I hope that we stayed on some form of topic, or at least we're somewhat entertaining. Hoop. Good luck this weekend. Next
Thanks.
first pitch tomorrow, probably.
Yeah, I finally have my VORP situation figured out. The thing I've been teasing for like 4 weeks. So
All right.
yes,
The tease better be real. We better come to fruition
it's
here.
it
So
it gave me exactly what I needed. So
love
yes.
to hear it. All right, buddy. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching, everybody. See you.